Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. And I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. And I'm always scouring the globe looking for entrepreneurs, people on the margins, the cutting edge, shaping the world. And so today we have a special guest, Orlando Gomez, and it's going to be a fascinating story about his company, what he does. We're going to talk about customer-centric videos, what to get most out of your video shoot, video marketing, story brand. So I'm really excited about this episode. So Orlando, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Looking forward to this chat.
And I know we had connected, and it's so great to get to record this. So tell us more about you, yourself, your company, your business, and we'll get into the meat of the story.
Absolutely. So I've been running my production company, Stellar Lens Productions, for going on to 19 years now. It was something I fell in love with as a kid. I can think back as early as like fifth, sixth grade, really getting into like acting and very primitive video production at that time. And it just, started as a hobby, became a passion, and became a career after that. So I started my company right after I graduated high school. And in the beginning was doing a lot of volunteer work with nonprofits to just, refine my skills, and, been growing it ever since.
Yeah. Awesome. And so tell us, what's so interesting is, especially video marketing. And so you talk about this idea just in terms of video marketing, everything, shifted from, blogs, now pictures, and now it's like videos and, more interactive. So why do customer-centric videos yield a stronger ROI over talking about yourself and, your practice or your business and all of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's twofold. One, I always talk about the fact that, video is where marketing has gone. That's where the vast majority of people consume their information, right? People prefer to watch something over dramatically, statistically prefer to watch something rather than, read copy or read a document or otherwise. So one, it's meeting people where they are and meeting them where they're used to consuming the information. So that's why video as a medium is important. And then the flip side of why then you should be talking, doing a customer centric video as opposed to an individual, a personal, professional centric video is, there's a couple thought processes behind it. One, nobody really likes to ever be in a room with someone who all they do is talk about themselves and all their great accomplishments and how awesome they are. Like it's just cringy and it's off-putting. And so there is a high probability of that being the persona you kind of emote when your video only talks about you and how great you are and how, how many customers you have and how much money you make. And you know what I mean? Like that. So yeah. you run that risk, and that's attractive to some people, but for most people, it's not. But I think more than anything else, when you can talk about the customer and you can identify with their problems, you can identify with their struggles, and you can present a very clear and compassionate solution for that, right? Like an empathetic solution. I know where you're coming from. I know what that feels like, and I have a solution for you. That's a lot more attractive, right? People feel seen, people feel heard, people feel like you can fix things for them. And so that goes a really long way in the psyche of your customer and makes them that much more compelled to engage with you.
Yeah, love that. And the thing is, like, all of this would everything is like, for example, becoming more interactive, and Web 2 is this thing where it's like, it's mm-hmm. more of a kind of a direct, like it's almost a one-way street. But now with virtual reality and metaverse and these, it's going to be more interactive. So the speaker or whoever is going to be able to interact with the customer and their client, and the client will be able to interact with them, and it's going to be just more of an engaging experience as opposed to just one-way flow of and then one question I have is, for example, vertical videos, especially with TikTok now, or depending on how hopefully they don't get shut down or banned, but with TikTok and, vertical videos, short form, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So that's really funny. So when vertical video first became a thing, I hated it. I'm a video guy, and I come from the film world, and, video is supposed to be, 16 by 9. It's horizontal, not 9 by 16. That's absurd. And there's a part of me that still feels that way. I mean, I'll always be a purist in that sense. But again, coming back to this idea of when it comes to business, you got to meet people where they are. And if people are consuming their video content primarily in that format, and more than that, if the platforms that people are using presents video in that format, then you better make your videos, adhere to that, right? Otherwise, you're fighting upstream, and you're not going to be as effective. So it's one of those things where, like, I personally don't like it, but it's necessary. So you learn to adapt and you make it work.
Yeah, I love that. And then you, especially for the audience, a lot of people in the audience are physicians. So, and then you talk about, especially, physicians, for lack of a better, these business skills. How can physicians use the story brand framework, figure out their main messaging and their goals to get better conversions from their video marketing? That's the key thing.
Yeah. So physicians, like any professional service, I think the story brand model really works very well. And kind of to circle back, so people aren't familiar with the story brand framework. Really it comes down to this idea of you being the guide, not the hero. Your customer is the hero, you are the guide, right? They want to be the hero of their story. It's your job to help them be successful on their journey, right? You don't want to come in and say and overwhelm their story, and I'm the hero, I can make everything happen, I can make your life better. No, you have the power to do that yourself. I'm just going to guide you along that process and show you how. And then some of the tenets on that is like being clear and concise. Don't confuse people. Don't be overly clever. Obviously, you can be creative, but you want to make sure you don't confuse your audience. You want to make sure they understand exactly what your proposition is, and lead with empathy and lead with compassion. And that's a really great formula for success in marketing in general, but especially when yourself are the thing you're selling, right? It's your expertise. It's your service. You're not selling a product. They have to come for you because of your experience and because of what you can personally offer. And so when you can position yourself that way, it becomes a lot more attractive, and it just lends itself to, you're more trustworthy. You seem more trustworthy. You seem like you're an expert. You know what you're talking about, and people feel like, yeah, this person can help me get through X, Y, Z, whatever that problem may be.
Yeah, really good points. Yeah, so those are all great points. The other thing is the number one reasons physicians don't see results with video marketing. What do you know about, and what to do about it?
Yeah, I think the number one reason is coming back to what we're talking about is a lot of times it's any professional service. It's really easy to sink into talking about the self, right? Because this is who you are. It's what you do. You know what you do well, and you start trying to sell the service, but ultimately you end up kind of selling like you're trying to sell yourself, and it just kind of can get in that weird uncomfortable zone really easily. So really the main things that I always recommend is, one, as much as you're able to, get somebody else to speak on your behalf, right? So whether that's a client testimonial, whether that's your staff members talking about their experience working with you, working for you, what the office culture is like. Maybe they can share some of their own perspective of client testimonials, things like that. And in every instance that you can, really reframe things from the perspective of the client and what they're dealing with, and acknowledging their struggles or their pains or whatever that may be, and always present yourself as just, it's a solution. You have a solution, as opposed to, you have a solution to their very specific problem, as opposed to just, yeah, I can fix everything. Or you know what I mean? It can feel a little nuanced at times. Again, the easiest way to avoid that is have someone else talk for you.
Yeah. Now let's move on to logistics and outcomes. And you talk about properly planning a full day to production. You can come away with very bits of content, multiple platforms from a single day.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we are huge advocates of that. So, I mean, as much as you're able to plan and coordinate ahead of time, and if you can contribute an entire day of production, you can get a lot more bang for your buck, right? So within the video space, a lot of your costs come down to, cost per day, right? So there's a bare minimum of entry of cost just to get out there and get into production. So we want to be able to milk that for as much as we can. So what we tend to try to do is And we pick a Saturday or whatever day is usually slow, or that you can have the office shut down or just not take any appointments that day. Bring in the staff, make it an extra paid day, or whatever it may be. But we kind of like we try to create a culture where everybody's going back to work, but it's going to be a light day and it's going to be fun. You'll maybe order food or whatever, and then try to bring in 4 or 5 clients who are willing to come in and spend an hour in the office and kind of give their feedback, give their testimonials, and talk about their experience. And then we'll do like shoot what we call B-roll, so all look like the cutaway footage, and so of the staff working, of you with your staff, you with a client, with the patient, patient coming in. Like we just kind of like it's super low key, and we always sound like we're not going to use any of the audio, so you guys can just joke, laugh, have fun, do whatever. We want to see smiling faces, we want to see the engagement, and so what ends up happening is we can then create out 4, 5, 6 different videos of different types, different lengths. We can cut down videos for 30-second pieces while have the longer full length interviews and testimonials. But you capture so much footage that if you go in there with that game plan, you can walk away with a lot more than just a single video from a single day's shoot.
Yeah, great question. And then basically you can reformat different content. And last question I have is how to pick the right format, right platforms for your videos. Should you, local TV, Facebook, social media, where's the biggest bang for your buck?
Yeah, so that's tricky too. So it depends on where you see people engaging with you the most, or more specifically, where is your specific audience consuming their information? Where are they living? In the past, it was 90% of what I did was broadcast TV. Now it's like maybe 10%, right? For one, broadcast is expensive. 2, not everybody's watching TV. A lot of people are streaming. A lot of people are just using YouTube. A lot of people are on social media. So it really depends. So now I always recommend, like, at the very least, you should be making things for Facebook and Instagram. A vast majority of your audience is going to be there. So at the very least, the content needs to be on those platforms. Put some money behind that for running ads and boosted posts, but at the very least, it just needs to exist there. And then if you want to do local broadcast TV, I mean, that's going to be more budget dependent than anything else. But I think you can't go wrong with social media. You can't go wrong with having videos on your website. You can't go wrong with having landing pages, and maybe embed some of these videos. And if you have an emailing list, you could embed those links into your newsletters or emails that go out. It's quite varied these days. It's not a one stop. It's not a one source fits all kind of a thing, right? You can't just stick to one channel, one medium. You do have to be pretty diverse with where you put your videos.
Yeah, Leslie, how can people contact you, follow you, reach out to you, etc.?
Yeah, so you can follow me personally on Instagram at Orlando J. Gomez, and then you can follow the company at Stellar Lens Productions, both on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Go to our website, stellarlensproductions.com. You can see some of our work there, some things we've done. But also we're offering for anybody who's interested just a free video consultation. If you go to stellarlensproductions.com/strategy, we'll schedule time to chat, and we'll do a 30-minute strategy session in terms of like kind of figuring out who you are, who your target audience is, figuring out that customer profile, how we can adjust language to get away from talking about the self and talking about the customer. And ultimately that's just free information. Do with it as you wish. You don't have to hire us to actually make anything. You can make it yourself, or just for good, personal information. If you do decide to engage with us, you'll get $1,000 off whatever service you hire us for. So both those offers are available.
Yeah. And for all the audience out there, let's thank Orlando for coming onto the show. I know we had some technical difficulties, but we got it done. And thank him for his experience and wisdom and expertise, and all of the resources will be in the links and show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
No, thank you, Dr. Lee. Appreciate it. This was fun. Thanks for giving me a chance to chat. And yeah, we had some funny technical difficulties, but it happens. And you're right, we made it work.